superstar Derrick White sacrificed the body.
Sorry, knocked away.
Wayne Spooney here with my man Jake Eisenberg. We are going to talk about the 2-0 Boston Celtics. Jake, how you feeling?
Imagine not being undefeated.
Right? Oh,
Embarrassing.
God.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Never in doubt either game either. 2-0, baby.
No. Yeah, especially the Knicks game. That was definitely just a wire-to-wire 20-point win, basically. But all right, so for this one, I think what we're going to do is for the main segment, it's only 2 games, but maybe some overreactions, maybe some underreactions, maybe some average reactions, and we're just going to lump it good, bad, unsure, kind of what we're thinking. Because, look, it's 2 games, but it's all we've got. So we've just got to roll with it. Some overall stats, the Celtics have the 6th best offense, 14th best defense, and rank dead last in opponent shooting percentage from 3 at 45.9%. So I'm sure that will go down some, but good Lord, it's been a scary couple of games. But Jake, start us off, man. Where are we going? After 2 games, what's your big takeaway here?
You know who it is.
I know.
You know who it is.
Yep.
And look, if you're new to the show, this season or off season, you may have noticed we've been calling Derrick White the mistress. Originally named because I was falling in love with him despite having a future wife in my life. And that's gone nowhere. And if anything, I believe Derrick has become the mistress of my own wife. He's the mistress of both of us. It's only the Derrick White experience is only getting better and better. Derrick White is the definition of a championship role player.
Yes.
Like I was like thinking about guys of championship teams past. Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets, like on any given night, he maybe goes for 20, but he's like this defensive playmaker. This guy that kind of came in at the deadline and has just been like the perfect fit ever since they've arrived at their team. Reminds me of like Iguodala for the Warriors.
Yeah.
This connective piece that really just like took the team to another level where, you understand where they could be so good for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a given game where you have the Max Kellerman famous video of if the aliens have the laser beam pointed at planet Earth, you have one guy to take the shot to save planet Earth. I want Iguodala. Who am I to tell you that we don't want Derrick White?
Derrick White, yeah.
He's been that good. The guy that he can go off for 28 points against the Heat, have 3 blocks on Jimmy Butler, and then you go back to the Knicks game. He's comfortable taking 3 shots, being the defensive menace all over the floor. He can fit any role you need him to on any given night. He is the definition championship role player, James Posey, but like really another level compared to a James Posey.
He's better than Posey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So
I mean, first of all, that was beautiful. And second of all, 100% spot on. Couldn't agree more. I mean, he's now averaging 26 and 2.5. I expect those assists to come up and probably the points to come down a little bit. But like, it's been an incredibly encouraging first 2 games for Derrick White. And you're right. I think it's just his ability to basically be like a do-it-all, doesn't need to do much with the ball in that Knicks game. And then against the Heat, he looks like Steph Curry. Like that one pull-up he had where and I think it was I can't remember her name, but the play-by-play announcer, she was like feeling it, and he just pulls up and buries it. And I was like, well, there it is. Yeah, I mean, that was a big-time shot, man, and we needed every bucket. And like the hustle plays, the little floaters in the lane. He's shooting 60% from 3 right now. So he's just like everything he was advertised as that Spurs fans told us about him. And now he can shoot, which is just like such a ridiculous dimension to his game.
The pull-up 3 in transition was so ballsy, but it was a shot that I'm comfortable him taking. And the confidence of Derrick White just seems to be growing and growing and growing from when he arrived in Boston. That's kind of been the thing that we've wanted more of, really, is for him to be aggressive, because he's very often going to be defended by the third, the fourth, the fifth best defender on the opposing team, and he can crack these guys off the dribble. Going back to the playoffs and going back to the Heat series, in the playback live stream, if you haven't tapped into the playback live stream, we're going to be running it all year. You got to get in on it. Zin, one of the regulars so far, was saying, is Derrick White a Heat killer? And, he definitely was yesterday. And you go back to the Heat series, and I was looking at the box scores, he was, the first two games, he's 4 for 6 from the floor in both of those games that they lose. You probably want him to be more aggressive again.
Yep.
But then the points tick up. In game 4, 16 points, 5 for 10. Game 5, 24 points, 8 for 11, 6 for 8 from 3. Game 6, we all know what happened in game 6, right? And then in game 7, 18 points, 5 for 12 from the field, but got to the line 7 times. And I'm like, who knows if they win that game if this happens? But Derrick White was felt like he was kind of in takeover mode in that third quarter, getting that lead down to 7 points. But if Jaylen Brown maybe gets out of the way just a little bit, maybe they don't win that game, but Derrick White was giving them a chance to stay in the game and giving them a chance to potentially steal it. We've needed a Heat killer so badly, because everyone that the Heat just roll out on the court is a Boston Celtics killer.
Yeah.
One of the Heat, the lead, the Heat Twitter version of Greeny, forgetting his Twitter name off the top of my head, but he was like, don't get it twisted, Drew Smith still sucks. He's just getting playing the Boston Celtics bump right now. And it's just even Heat fans
undrafted
know.
Celtics bump, or something like that.
Yeah,
they know.
3 for 4 from 3. It just doesn't matter. It is comforting a little bit to know that the Heat fans know that their team actually isn't that good. It's just when they play the Celtics, they just get a plus 20 3-point shooting pump. But yeah, finally someone to even the scales, to even out the black magic. We've got just our Lord and Savior, Derrick White, to even it out.
He's averaging 2 blocks a game, 1.5 steals a game. That's just ridiculous, man. He's a 6'4" guard, and he's he swatted Jimmy Butler 3 times against the Heat. What? Derek's just been awesome. I think, that's a great point about the Heat series. His confidence grew as it went on, and it feels like he's picked up right where that left off, and he's just continued to grow in confidence. That pull-up 3, it was semi-transition. I'm confident he'll make it if he's confident, and he'd never take it if he's not confident. So, if he's feeling so good to take it, I feel good that he took it, if that makes any sense at all. But
if Derrick White is feeling good and feeling confident, then I'm feeling good and feeling confident.
Yeah.
And
fire away, buddy.
Yeah. Loving those comments of Derrick White saying when guys like Tatum and guys like Jaylen are really encouraging me to be aggressive, when some of the best players in the league are encouraging me to be impressive, that's big time. And look, we got Derrick White mic'd up. Was it game? I don't even remember if it was the Knicks or the Heat game, because it's been a bit of a blur, but he was mic'd up in one of the two, and we don't get to see that very often, so it's hard to know if he was more or less vocal than usual. But I was surprised personally to see how vocal he was being, just because I don't expect that from Derek. But he's such a smart player that I want him as vocal as possible, because I know that his voice is going to be pointing this team in the right direction. So the more that we get from Derek, I think is going to be a positive thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love that he Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday, Malcolm Brogdon. It doesn't matter. This dude just rises to the top. He's still, I think he's better than Drew at this point. At least for this team. Yeah. So speaking of some of the best players in the league telling Derrick White to be more aggressive, one of those guys is Jason Tatum. 70% from less than 10 feet. So if he's anywhere near the hoop, he's scoring 7 out of 10 times. That's pretty absurd. So I don't think we have enough post-ups to get some of the advanced stats, but he's clearly posting up a lot more. That's been a clear emphasis, I think, from Go in training camp. And he's just looks really good, really comfortable, especially against the Heat, who have a tendency when you attack them straight downhill to pick your pocket, foul you. It never gets called. Then you lose the ball. And that's just a lot harder to do. The post up kind of slows the game down for him in a way, in a good way.
Yes.
And he just looks so confident and in control of the game. Like, it just feels like he knows how to get to, like, the level up is like, maybe it won't be stats wise, but it'll be like knowing how to like manipulate the defense, get other guys open, and score when he needs to, when the team needs it most. So do you think Tatum has taken a leap? Or, I mean, it's 2 games, I know, but...
Of all the things we're talking about, with all the things we're talking about, Jason Tatum has taken a leap in 2 games in. Feels like a lot, but the thing that we've all wanted more than anything else really has been the post-up game. And we talked about it on the Greeny episode, the last episode, where I think the implementation of the post-up can cut those stinkers in half, right? So he was 9 for 22 from the field in this game. Like, not an awesome game, right? That's 41% from the field. But, like, I'm pretty confident, like, if you show me another October game or November game of Tatum, like, having this kind of shooting night, this is like a 5 for 22 game where I feel like he is just going inside more, working more inside out, and just getting himself better looks. And I'm almost surprised that he's 70% from the 0 to 10 range, just because I felt like he missed like 2 or
couple
3
bunnies.
and like a makeable floater. Like, I think he probably makes 2 or more of those at least on your average night. It definitely feels slower for him right now. Having only the 2 turnovers, one of which was like kind of a lazy one where, but you know what? All's well that ends well, because the lazy one that he threw to Pritchard in the corner ended up leading to the Derrick White block on Jimmy Butler. So it was either the Jimmy White or it was the Drew Holiday block, one of the 2 ridiculous blocks that our guards had. I'm not ready to go there quite with the leap, but I'm definitely open to the idea that we may be looking at it, because right now he hasn't gotten to the free throw line much yet. He was, I think, 3 free throw attempts in the first game and then 6 against the Heat, which is definitely better. I think we're going to get there, just because you can tell the level of physicality he's getting. He's getting
hacked.
Get
this man the whistle. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. He's getting hacked. He hasn't gotten that superstar whistle yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like 12 free throw attempts against the Wizards or something like that, because I'm not sure who. I don't even know. Like, their starting center Gafford, I feel pretty comfortable with Tatum posting up probably. So
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Danilo.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even register that
revenge.
The revenge game's coming.
Yeah.
Okay, exciting. Love it.
And on the 9 of 22 or 8 of 22, whatever it was, being like the new bad game for him.
Yeah.
Tatum had like 15 or 16 games last year where he was at 35% or worse field goal percentage. And like, if that jumps up to 45% to 40%, like, his efficiency is going to skyrocket. You get those stinkers out of the way, his scoring's going to probably go up higher, because he ain't shooting less. This dude is taking just as many shots, which is I'm fine with.
Yes.
But like, everybody else needs to sacrifice shots for maybe Drew Holiday and Porzingis, but it ain't Tatum. So I just think, like, it's a level of consistency that he needs to hit. I'm encouraged by these first 2 games. Yeah, I'm with you. And like, look, he misses those 2 layups in the first like 90 seconds, and then all of a sudden he's 11 of 22, and we're like, wow, that was a great Tatum game, you know? So basketball is weird like that. But yeah, get this man a whistle. I mean, I'll throw one out there, Jake. I don't think this is a hot take. KP, Brad, he's done it again,
dude.
Man. It just looks so good.
Well, because, like, right, I've been saying I think Brad's done it. I think he's done it. Like, and you watch the fit here and the way that he's constructed this roster, everybody's really smart with the ball. And Porzingis is just getting the ball in these positions that are so advantageous, whether, like, against the Knicks game, it was like the pick and pop threes that were happening. I feel like against the Heat, I'm just having a quick look, he took 6 threes. So half of his shots, versus in the Knicks game, he took 9 3-point attempts. I feel like they were finding him they found him in the post a couple times against the Heat. Just like some quick slips to like the baseline where he took some mid-range jumpers. He's just like an absurdly versatile offensive threat, and where everybody's just really comfortable getting the ball to not just Porzingis, but to each other in different spots, and people are making quick snap decisions, and the ball's just finding him because opposing centers aren't able to defend him where he's able to play offense. And this has been the thing, right? The offense, regular season offense hasn't really been like over like macro issue, but we've seen it in the first 2 games when it's mattered. He's been huge, and that was the whole point of bringing in Porzingis. Yeah, man, you're on it. Brad Stevens, he knows ball, dude. Like, at this point, you can't second guess Brad. You have to just assume that the thing that he's trying to do is going to work. Really, the only move that he's done that I don't think was a home run, or maybe the Schroeder thing was the only thing that didn't work at all. Like that, the Schroeder move, but that was the taxpayer MLE, which he then ended up flipping, which ended up, I think, helping us get Derrick White from, because I know we sent him to Houston. We got back Tice. I know there's a lot of moving parts there, but and then the other one being the Brogdon move, but that ended up getting us Drew, and like the Brogdon move. It worked. It wasn't
until he got hurt.
Right. I think that's also important. I think maybe he wasn't the perfect fit that we maybe thought he was, but he also was really, really good. And if he doesn't get hurt, maybe we go to the finals anyway. Brad, good at his job.
Dude. And, I think we saw the hole in KP's game against the Heat with Bam just kind of attacking him in isolation. But there are not many centers like Bam in the NBA who have like basically a guard's handle and are that quick. And look, Bam will get 25, he'll go like 10 of 17 but that's really hard to beat you with the types of shots he takes. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, like, you're completely on it. And, like, even Bam felt like he had an awesome game, and he was 10 for 23, 43% from the field. And KP got those 2 quick fouls right at the beginning, right?
Yep.
I feel like he got a lot more comfortable with that matchup as the game went along, and he was doing such a good job of staying down until, like, either his 5th or 6th foul, and Bam got him. But part of Bam getting him on that last pump fake was that Porzingis had kind of started to figure him out. Bam was 4 for 12 in the second half. And so, like, I do wonder next time, like, there's going to be a couple where Bam gets him like a little, when he's spread out a little bit. But I think next time it's like Porzingis, he takes like half a step back and just contests. And then like, if Bam's going to kill you by shooting 16 footers, that's whatever.
Go nuts, dude.
And then, but like, give yourself just a little bit more cushion to absorb his drives, because that was what was really killing him. One was getting killed on those drives, which was leading to the and ones, which is obviously picking up fouls, and also those easy higher percentage looks. But Porzingis in the chat, I know someone just said, Carl here being like, I've been surprised with Porzingis' rim protection. Defensively, he's been fantastic. And even on switches, we haven't gone to it much, but he got switched on to Tyler Hero and Jalen Brunson, and he was good on both of them. Like, I wonder if we get to have a look at like a switch everything lineup, like against the Wizards. Are they going to post up Gafford or Kuzma on Derrick White? Like, go for your life.
I wonder if it's like, hey, there's 8 seconds in the shot clock left. Now we switch everything. Because I don't think you want KP defending like 40 ISOs a game for the point guard. But like, you're right, dude. He's looked fine when he's been asked to do it. So maybe we should ask him to do it just a little bit more. But his rim protection, like, good, great, doesn't even do it. Teams are shooting 38.8% from the restricted area against us, and 46% from 3, which makes absolutely no fucking sense at all. I've never seen anything like that. But, dude, like, they're like shying away from going all the way to the rim because he's around. And he's just so huge that, like, you don't expect him to be able to challenge. And, like, oh, he's 6 feet off me. I'll just pull up. And he's like, what? Never mind. I'm in your face. Like, whoa. So I think he's catching guys off guard. And he's never, Carl says he's never felt like it was that good previously. Well, he's never had a team around him that plays defense this good. Like, Drew and Derrick White just know how to funnel guys right to him. And they can recover, they can help him out, and he's just playing it perfectly. And when like the Brunsons, the heroes, they get to that mid-range spot, he's in this like perfect drop position where they can't dump it down to the rolling big, and he's just so friggin' big that he can still contest their shot.
Honestly, yeah, he's still getting these. And look, that play, that mid-range pull-up coming off a screen, guys just get beaten on that play. Like, it doesn't matter what defense you're playing, like, the only way to completely shut it down is to switch everything on it. And, like, pretty much no one in the NBA can do that except for, like, Bam. And like, that, honestly, like,
Draymond when he plays center, but he doesn't even do that much anymore. Yeah,
like, even Draymond can't do it as well as he used to. Like, AD a little bit. Like Al Horford was, like, one of the guys that could do it. It's just tough. And so if teams want to kill you with those mid-range pull-ups and you're still able to get really good rear view contests, like, you're going to get one or two Drew Holiday or Derrick White blocks probably per game, which is going to make those offensive players think just a little bit. And exactly as you said, he's getting a good enough contest where you just, like, 13-footers, they're just hard to stop. That you have to give up something in the NBA, and if that's going to be the thing that you give up, that's fine. And like the 3-point numbers, I went back and watched every offensive Heat possession or Celtics defensive possession.
I watched their threes. Yeah,
dude, the amount of Hero and Robinson like coming off screens where like Derrick and Drew or even Jaylen are like right there. Like you can't play better defense. Like every team is going to be able to get those shots off. But like if they're going to make them at 52%, then like they're going to almost beat the Celtics, I guess. If like that's how good you have to be. Like if those are the shots,
it'll be a close game.
Yeah. and then eventually it will cool off. But like so far, I've really liked what I've seen from the defense. Like that's actually been better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And we're 14th, but that's just because of this insane shooting.
Correct.
And the Knicks hit a bunch of crazy threes too. Like quickly had a few off the bounce. That's just like, oh my God, man. And I think White and Drew help out KP a lot too, is because I was afraid of the pull-up 3-point shooters. Just like walking into wide open threes, but they're so good at getting around screens that they run them off. So they have to come downhill a little bit into that mid-range area. And then it's just what we've been talking about. KP can be there. They're, right behind him. So, it's looked really, really good. I guess the concern is in the playoffs, are we the Bucks? But I'm with you. I looked at the Heat's threes. The Bucks conceded tons of wide open corner threes. That was their problem. We're not doing that. There's a lot of above the break stuff that's just like, come on, dude. How did that go in? So not super worried about it. Probably the best thing about the Heat game was Jaylen Brown, which you could tell. We needed him to play like that. That dude needed it. Like he just seems so relieved when he hit that last three to like completely ice the game, dude. So just a great Jaylen game. Exercise the demons against the Heat too. Like just had to happen.
Perfect. I mean, everybody was ready for a 7-turnover game, but he played the perfect Jaylen game. And something that I think I'm gonna go back and pull and have a look at is he seems to be committing more to hustle plays, like getting, some that steal off. Was it off the Jimmy Butler block, which led to a Jaylen Brown steal and dunk? Like the camera cut away. I forget exactly what happened, but the camera cut away. All of a sudden, everyone's going crazy. Jaylen Brown's hanging on the rim. He has like 2 or 3 or 4 like really, really big defensive rebounds. Like obviously, more importantly, we need him to turn the ball over less, and we need him to score efficiently. That's by far and away the most important thing. But I'm like pretty confident that he's going to be able to just like shoot pretty close to 50% from the field and be like a 23 to 26 points per game guy for the whole season. For him to get back on track against the Heat in that regard felt amazing. Obviously, in the clutch, going to the left, ISO'd on Bam, going left, finishing over Kevin Love with the left hand. That's all we want.
And then Doris Burke says he may not be able to dribble left, but he can finish left. And it's like, did you just not watch him take like 4 hard lefty dribbles and what?
She calling Celtics games is not on a good run at the moment. Like, I don't know.
No.
Like, I'm not sure I buy that she's like anti-Celtics fully, but like, I can totally understand why people feel like that right now. Like, between this game and a bunch of comments, really, and then going back to the game 6 game where Tatum goes off and she like stops talking during that whole stretch. It was very odd. So Doris Burke, we're noting this.
Yeah, she loves the Heat and she loves Embiid. So I don't find her as bad when we play other teams. But yeah, she's just like, she is the person who just always talks about the stars. That's all she ever talks about, man. Like, but regardless, enough about people have been hand-wringing about Doris. But I just had to bring that up because it was like one of the dumbest pieces of commentary I've ever heard in my life. And I feel like I'm a Doris defender. I like
Doris
her I don't dislike her nearly as much as other Celtics fans do. But that particular comment was just like, whoa, what are we watching here, Doris? But so yeah, JB was great. Yeah, I'm with you. No, there should be no concerns about him. He's shooting 27% from 3. That'll tick back up to his 36%. And I mean, then his efficiency will come right up with it. And otherwise, he looks like Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, he was 3 for 7 in the Heat game and like all big shots. So like, we need him to just be right at his normal 36, 37, and we're off to the races.
Yep. Yeah. And I think he's had some bad defensive possessions, but I think overall he's clearly making a commitment to that end. So I think he's been better on that end too.
Yeah. The defensive rebounding has been really noticeable to me. Like there's been some, there was one monster one in the Heat game where he came out of nowhere. Yeah. It came out of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is something that you should really shine at, I think. Him and like Tatum already does it. It does feel like a focus to me so far. And so if that's something that he can add to his game, is like, because that will really help the overall defense and help his overall like advanced metrics, which are always awful.
Yes.
Relatively.
Yeah. Relatively. Yeah. To how good he actually is, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Early returns on, I think probably the defense was number 2 worry for me, at least. Number 1, I think clutch offense had to be the biggest concern with the Celtics going into the season. I think we all thought KP would be a nice antidote to that. You know who else is? Drew Holiday with that that pull-up midi. Dude. I think the Heat had cut it to like 3 or something like that.
4, yeah.
4, yeah. They had just hit one of their BS threes that they always hit.
Yeah, the Kevin Love fucking off some shit.
That was insane. Draped all over him, too. That was a nuts 3. He gets the kick out, pump fakes. Might have been Hero that flies right by him. And instead of popping the 3, instead of driving into traffic, he just stops at like 16 feet, puts up like the smoothest mid-range jumper, back rim, straight down, buckets, and then it was basically game from that point on. But overall, clutch offense, how you feeling?
Another thing that Drew Holiday also helped with, and I think that it's happened in both games, we're not playing slow the ball down, bleed the clock. Even when we're down, it felt like it was happening last year. You tweeted this. I think I retweeted it, but this play right here from Drew, firstly, the defense, KP gets out on Jimmy, great contest, great box out, and the rebound by Drew, destroying Jimmy with his shoulder. Tatum pushes, Drew pushes, finds D. White in the corner, bang, Celtics go up buckets. 8. Yeah, Celtics go up 8 with 4 minutes to go, and it's just like, yeah, dude, push the pace with all of these threats all over the court. It's an absolute no-brainer to see them do that when we've been screaming at our TV for them to not slow it down for years. I don't feel like it was specifically Marcus's fault, but like when I saw Drew push the pace in that way, I was like, I don't think it was ever just Marcus's fault. It was more an institutional psyche that he could not break out of. To see that in the last 2 games, also almost more than anything, because like when you push the pace and create those like mini advantages against a defense like the Heat or like a well-connected defense like the Knicks, it's just getting clean shots in those moments is so valuable. Chef's kiss, perfect execution. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, and some stats. Obviously, we've played 7 minutes of technical clutch time. I think the clutch definition's a little narrow within 5 minutes. Like if it's 7 minutes and it's a tie game, that's not clutch. 7 minutes left, but whatever. our net rating is plus 87.6. So we're outscoring teams by 87 points per 100 possessions. But I think the most important number to me is our assist percentage is 66.7, which would be like the highest in the NBA over a season. And I think that goes to show like they're just moving the ball better. It's less sticky. It's less pure isolation. And maybe it's just Tatum, KP, pick and roll. But like that action can get so much to happen because you're going to have to send help at one of those two guys, and then somebody's open. They're making the simple pass, and they're getting decent looks. And that's all we've ever asked of them. So the early returns, man, they're extremely encouraging in clutch time against two teams where we've struggled in the clutch.
Yes, we've had so many heartbreaking losses to both of these teams in the last 2-3 years. And to get it done against both of those guys. But yeah, you're on it. The KP, Tatum action in the clutch. It should either always be that, because it just creates chaos for the defense, because Tatum already has so much gravity, and having a pick and roll partner with that kind of a threat is everything that we talked about coming in. And to see, I don't even think it was in the clutch, but they went to Porzingis either in a pick and roll or they got him in the post, and help came. Look, Porzingis is not Jokic. No one's passing wise. No one's ever going to mistake him for that. But he's able to be 7'3", hold the ball in the sky while a second player comes, and he threw it to Jaylen, I think, in the opposite corner for one of his threes. And that's just going to happen. And that's going to be, those are easy looks and easy plays that are going to present themselves in key moments. And so having that guy and that threat is just going to be so helpful.
Yeah, and you can get that out of a Tatum KP pick and roll. They switch it. KP just goes to the block. You dump it to him. The double comes over. Somebody's open. I mean, it really does make things so easy on everybody. So I think Joe has been coaching very encouraging signs with what Mazzulla's been doing. He's mixing stuff up. He's mixing the defenses up. They're going drop sometimes. The aforementioned occasional switch. I think they threw the full court press down for a short period of time against the Knicks. But maybe the biggest adjustment he made was rotationally. We hemmed and hawed for good reason about that god awful Luke Al Horford 5-4 combination against the Knicks.
Yeah.
And thank God he did not pull that again, especially against a team where you never need to go big. And he went with O'Shea Brissett, and kind of game changing, man. Tons of energy. I expect. I mean, do you agree, Jake? He's got to be in the rotation at this point, then, right?
Yeah, I give me O'Shea over Luke. If it's Luke or O'Shea, it's not even a question. There's really no reason, in my opinion, to be playing Luke Cornett right now. I don't really understand why. Because if you're supposed to go big, in theory, you have a big out there if it's Luke Cornett, but it's is he really
he doesn't
adding,
play it?
He's not really adding that much to your defense as a 7-footer. He offers a little bit of rim protection, but so much of defense is rebounding. It's one of the most important things. And O'Shea Brissett, I tweeted before the game, I was like, Luke Cornett grabbed more than one rebound challenge because he grabbed one in the next game. He didn't have the chance to deliver on it, but O'Shea Brissett literally grabbed two in his first 5 seconds of being on the court. It was perfect. And to see Joe adjust from one game to the next when he was so stubborn last year is such a great, and he even said, I think, he was planning on going to O'Shea a little bit later, and he went to O'Shea earlier than he planned to.
Yes, Joe.
That's that. It sounds simple, but to go away from your plan is not always the right thing to do. You have to coaching's always feels easy when you're watching the game, but if you're planning to bring O'Shea in 3 or 4 minutes later, then you're we need the jolt now. They brought him in. He literally changed the game. The Celtics were going to get to bad habit stuff that we've still seeing pop up. The Celtics were doing the same shit that they always do against the Heat, and we needed the jolt. And O'Shea Brissett came in. So O'Shea and Joe for empowering him to do it. I'm personally a Lamar Stevens guy, but let's be honest, they're pretty much the same player.
Yeah, definitely.
So he came in and he just crashed the defensive boards every single time he crashed the offensive rebounding. He dropped 4 passes
I know. One was such a sick dime from Tatum, too. I
know.
can't believe he dropped it.
Like he really should have been like 3 for 3 from the field and really had a massive impact. But he corralled one of the 3 and finished one of them, and it was like that cool well, he was a rim grazing dunk. I'm not sure we can call it
technically a dunk. Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I think he has to be in the rotation, and we'll talk about the rest of the bench in a second. But yeah, where are you on O'Shea? Like, it's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of shooting terrifies me. But again, like, if he's out there with Al, like,
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
it's better than being out there with Al and Luke. You know what I mean? Like, everybody else on this team can shoot. The other bench guys all are in the NBA because they can shoot. So, like, you can get away with playing one non-shooter, especially in the regular season.
Yes.
So, and defensively, he's fine. Like, he hustles really hard. I think in preseason, I was pretty impressed. He seemed to kind of know where to be. At times, he was like pointing to Pritchard and telling him and Hauser where to be. So that's a very good sign. I just play the dude, man. Sometimes you just need a psychopath. It was like sometimes Neesmith would come in and he was all over the place, but he'd give you a jolt. He'd get like 4 weird points that didn't make any sense, and like we'd go on a little run. Like, and O'Shea could totally do that. He can be that guy. He's not as insane as Neesmith, but he's got some of those like vibes though.
Oh yeah,
He's definitely got some.
No question. It's just slightly more in control, but also like slightly less athletic. So it's it's a good. I appreciate the slightly more in control. He knows where to be. I feel like he knows how to direct his energy better than Neesmith did. At least when Neesmith was in Boston.
Oh yeah.
Neesmith now he's took calling the Celtics out. I'm not necessarily. Yeah, maybe we'll get to that before the Pacers game. But Neesmith taking shots at least Bleacher Report for calling him a paperclip and some string. But
Go at him, Aaron. Talk your shit, buddy. So I think we covered most of this stuff. Getting another thing on our run sheet, getting the ball up quicker.
Yeah.
It seems like they're really intentionally just
Oh, yeah.
playing at a good pace. Yeah.
This play that Ben's popped in the StreamYard, like Derrick pushes the pace, Drew sets a screen, Derrick attacks, 3 guys collapse, easy pass to Drew, one hand flip, Porzingis wide open, bang, 3. It's just like these guys are also. It's exactly the same with the clutch offense stuff, but pushing the pace and just like getting the defense slightly more reactionary to what you're doing. Because like Derrick White it was a simple right hand drive against a defender that the rest of the Heat defense knows that he can attack in Tyler Hero. Mm-hmm. Jimmy helps down. I don't know why that third defender helped down as well, but it's just an easy pass to Drew in the corner who then one hand flips straight to Porzingis. There's just so many threats. Push the pace. This team has been so anti-pushing the pace so much. To see them doing it a little bit, like it's just an absolute no-brainer to leave. They don't have to be the Pacers, but can we be like 12th in pace?
That's all.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
And I think like that guy helped, right? Because you're not expecting somebody driving down the throat of the defense like 3 seconds into the shot clock. It just like it's confuses people, and it doesn't let them get the perfect matchups all the time too.
Exactly.
Like if you push it really quick, you just kind of have to guard who you're near. That might get Tatum in mismatch without having to run a single action, or KP a little on him, and then we can go to his post up, have the double come, boom, boom, boom. The offense is flowing. So yeah, there is no reason not to push the pace other than like 2-for-1 situations. And you're right. Like we don't have to be psychotic Tyrese Halliburton hitting like hit-aheads to guys like immediately every time he touches the ball. But like, little hustle, gentlemen, please. Yeah. It couldn't hurt. So let's get to some of the bad stuff. I think the biggest thing for me, although I'm not concerned about it, again, 2 games. Yeah. But PP and Hauser haven't exactly come out lighting the world on fire. I do think they've been fine at everything other than shooting, but neither of those guys are NBA players if they can't shoot. I mean, that's just the reality of it. They need to be elite level shooters to cover up kind of some of the limitations to their game. So I'm not sure where you go with them. Do you think they keep their spot in the rotation, let them run for a few more games and see how it goes? I mean, O'Shea's right there, man. He could soak up some of those minutes.
It's tricky. Like, I will say they went 2 for 3 between them from 3
That's
in the
true.
Heat game.
Yeah,
So
true.
that was good to see. Pritchard in particular has looked very hesitant. Hauser at least has been firing away.
Maybe too much.
yeah,
The Knicks
'cause, like-
game especially.
Yeah, well, I was like, something that we saw from Hauser in the preseason was like the pump fake drive and make a very easy pass and just like creating like the smallest amount of an advantage for any of these other guys who can capitalize on that advantage. He just hasn't even been thinking about doing anything other than shooting, which, look, I'd much prefer just get a shot up as opposed to like turn the ball over, because that's the worst case scenario. I learned from Spoelstra in the playoffs from his mic'd up stuff. Shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal. Give me a contested Hauser 3 over a turnover any day of the week. So from that perspective, I'm okay with it. But yeah, both him and Pritchard haven't looked comfortable and confident like they did in the preseason, and that's why it's so hard to not get caught up in preseason.
Yeah,
it just
'cause
is
it's real. It's not
Yeah.
summer league, it's real NBA basketball. But
again, like you watch the first, it's been what, like 5 days of NBA basketball. It's a completely different level again. Like the starters are playing more, the better rotation players are more, and honestly, like the best players are trying at 100%, like 95% as opposed to like 70%, and that makes a huge difference. And I think these matchups in particular, the Heat matchup for Pritchard, like they're very physical. I think like the Wizards and the Pacers, if Pritchard struggles against because like you can't go away from Pritchard yet, I don't think. But the Wizards and the Pacers should be spots where he can be effective. I do worry, like with Pritchard, he always looks good in summer league. He always looks good in preseason. And
garbage
obviously
time. He lights garbage
time.
time on fire. Yeah.
Yeah, great point. Is it just like he has the usage, has the minutes, the empowerment, where he's just not going to get that. Even on this team where he's got more of a role, you're not going to get more than 14 minutes. And if you don't play well, you're not going to get more than 10. Like, you have to find a way to be effective quickly. Otherwise, I'd much rather just go away from Pritchard and play Svi. Or Lamar Stevens, who's gonna really give you a defensive advantage. Like, instead of playing Luke and Pritchard and Hauser, do you play Svi, O'Shea, and Lamar, where they're all big and those guys are gonna give you rebounding and defense, and Svi like gives you that secondary playmaking. Like, he's a far more complete offensive player than Hauser, even if Hauser maybe like is a better shooter, quote unquote, just by like catch and shoot numbers, but Svi maybe is definitely a more versatile offensive player. So I don't know. Hauser in particular, I could see losing his spot if he's not careful.
Yeah, and it's really just roster construction wise. Yeah. We just have way more viable wings that we can put out there. Like, there is not really another guard on the roster other than like Svi is kind of a guard, but Pritchard can at least handle the ball a little bit. I don't know if Svi's initiating offense. I guess it's Banton, and that is terrifying in its own right. So
yeah, we haven't seen Banton. I know people thought maybe because he played so much in the preseason, but I think that was just like them figuring out if it was worth keeping him or not. Again, early days, as much as we were hyping up all the good stuff and being like, look, did Jason Tatum take a leap? Hard to say. Is Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard going to fall out of the rotation? Again, too early to say, but it hasn't been good for the Bus One boys.
Yeah, and I think they're guys that will really benefit from getting a little more run with the lineups. Like Pritchard has played one lineup with 4 minutes, and then the rest is like 3 minutes or less. It's hard for a guy who's finding his role and who's a natural scorer to like tone that down and figure out where his shots are going to come from when he's never playing with the same guys. So I anticipate once kind of the chemistry gets built a little bit, we figure it out with the Jays and Porzingis and that shot mix, like they'll come along. They're going to hit shots. They always have. But like on Pritchard, dude, it's a great point because like at Oregon, he was like Steph Curry for Oregon in college. And then his first season was his best year, and he played a ton because we had nobody else to play. And so, I mean, if that's the type of guy he is, he's probably not a long-term piece on the Celtics. He would probably be awesome on Charlotte or something like that, where he can just like fire away. But I still believe in him. I think he can be a valuable 14, 15-minute role guy. And same with Hauser. Like Hauser was on Hero a couple times in isolation. Yep. He got scored on, but like he played well. Hero just hit some crazy ass like
so did everybody
middies. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, Hero had one of those freaking conference finals games. What did he end up? He was 10 for 20. He cooled off late, but he was still 41.7% from three on 12 attempts. Like he was on fire, and that was so. And Hauser rebounds. Like I do like that about Hauser. He does rebound. So like you add the house trap element, which definitely exists, plus being able to defensively rebound a little bit. I'm interested because like neither of those guys are making enough money for Joe to not at least try some other guys. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out, to say at least, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of playing out and the bench playing more, Tatum's averaging 40 minutes a game, and Porzingis had 38 against the Knicks, and probably would have been close to that number had he not fouled out with like 3 or so minutes left against the Heat. And he was in foul trouble like basically that whole game too. So any concern with the minutes load early?
No, yes and no, I guess. Like I wonder, Joe just. I understand Joe's perspective or feelings of like wanting to get off to a good start. Two teams that we've struggled against. These are like very valuable reps, like to bank this experience, these moments. We have 2 days off between the Heat game and the Wizards game, and 2 days off after the Pacers game, I believe. So like this little stretch after the first 2 games, like it's actually pretty light, especially. Knock on wood, assuming the Wizards game should be kind of chill. They should be able to at least win that game while playing more of the bench. Like even if Tatum still plays 35 minutes, hopefully that's a game where he plays 30 minutes because they've got the game in hand. But they should be able to win that game with Tatum playing 35, Porzingis at 30. I'm concerned from the perspective of this continues, but I'm like, I don't think it's going to continue because I'm sure that they're also like, we can't have Tatum playing 40 minutes a night, obviously.
Yeah, Tatum's got to come down, but like I'm fine with him playing 37 minutes a night. Like dude is a friggin' Iron Man. Porzingis up in the high 30s worries me. I will say that. Like that's got to come down.
What's your number? What would you like? He played 32.6 for the Wizards last year.
21 or so. It's my Al Horford corollary, just like keeps getting lower every time we talk. That feels right. 33, something like that. I mean, I think you could go Porzingis for 30 and Al for 18 every single game at the 5, and then just play Brissett at the 4. Like, why not?
You said 21 for Al Horford as a joke, and then you said 18 for Al Horford as your serious answer.
I'm saying that's a viable option, but I think 33 for KP, and then like 22 for Al. That should give you like 5 or so minutes of double bigs, and then depending on the matchup, maybe you run that out there for a little bit longer. But 33, 34 feels about right for him. I don't know.
I think 30 to 32, 33. I think that's just going to be where he's at. But on like the flip side of that, Al Horford played 24 and a half minutes against the Heat and 25, which I know is too high for you. Ben.
Don't even play him, Ben.
Don't even play him, Ben. Well, on that though, the close like the lineup is Derek True, Jaylen, Jason, Porzingis.
Yep.
Porzingis gets into foul trouble. He fouls out, and then in comes Al Horford.
Yeah.
And
no big deal. We're fine.
And like maybe Al Horford playing 30 minutes or playing every like closing lineup against the Heat, he struggles. But Al Horford fresh in the fourth quarter against Bam Adebayo, where he's been like battling and going at Porzingis, that's a hell of a luxury. That's a very specific type of depth. There are some depth issues, but that specific issue, that specific spot, having Porzingis and Al Horford being able to share that 5 spot, that is nice. And that was a beautiful example of what this team can be. And like, so he probably plays 23 minutes if Porzingis doesn't foul out, right? So to me, 26, 25, 24, I think is like a realistic spot for Al Horford to actually be still very fresh when we get to the playoffs.
We agree. 15 minutes a game for Al. Got it.
Just flip the 5.
I think that's fine. And look, you're going to have some blowouts where he can play literally 15 minutes or something like that, because Cornette can come in and mop up the fourth quarter. Maybe. I don't know. Cornette's been terrifying recently, at least in that Knicks game. So, yeah, actually, let's jump to Cornette. Yeah, we kind of hit on it before you challenged him to grab more than one rebound. I think that's as chilling of an indictment as anything. But, man, I think you and I were lower on Cornette maybe than a lot of Celtics fans. He was fine last year. Or at least I have been consistent. I have definitely been lower on Luke than everybody.
I was higher than you and Ben coming into last season, and then I feel like he played closer to where, higher than what you guys thought. But then, it definitely kind of ran its course a little bit where it was the Cornette minutes, the Cornette contest stuff. The Cornette negative situation, that's what's going on right now, is a real thing. And right now, to me, I'm far more comfortable going with O'Shea, Lamar, or Tatum at the 5, or Cater. Until Cornette shows me something.
Whoa. That one of those was very spicy, Jake. You just slipped in there. Tatum at the 5.
I forget where I've talked about certain things. I'm like,
it was on playback.
I was like, that's the safe zone. That's the that's where you test out
lizard brain territory.
Yeah, exactly.
There,
yeah. No one's held accountable for what happens in the playback. That's
right.
That's a cancel free zone where I would test out Tatum at the 5.
Why not?
I know he's going to rebound more than Cornette is.
Yeah, that's for sure. So is Pritchard. And I'm not even kidding.
But yeah, unfortunately not. Yeah, look, +1 and Cornette. Right now, he's gonna Ben's on it. He's got to show more than just the celebration. Well, give us a reason to do the Cornish game hand celebration or something. I know Bobby Manning. It's not been a good year for the Bobby Manning, Luke Cornette situation.
All of our Celtics media elites are losing their favorites, man. Cornette's playing himself out of a role. We traded Time Lord, so Forsberg is just in
Grant,
shambles.
Everybody, Grant Jackson loved Grant.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough on Luke Cornette. All right. So I guess some things that maybe we went into the season thinking, or stuff that's developed over the first 2 games. We're giving up the 10th most threes a game. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I actually don't think that number's too bad. Guys are just hitting it. But that, we've historically been a great 3-point defense team. So I think that's probably something to watch with the KP drop style defense.
Yeah, I agree. Because I know the Bucks giving up all those threes and always being how are teams always shooting so well against us? It's because, you're giving up threes. And so I did have a look at that. And if we gave up 2 less threes per game, then all of a sudden we're at 14th or 13th as opposed to the other way around. So these early sample sizes, everybody's can be either quite bunched or massive outliers. So I think definitely something to monitor for sure, but I'm not worried about it yet. I something to keep in mind is that the defense has looked pretty connected after 2 games. Yeah. And there's also been there was a bunch of miscommunications in the Knicks game, I thought.
Definitely.
And a bunch of overhelps in that Knicks game, which that alone is probably skewing the numbers. Jaylen Brown, I made a point to say you were not alone. Tatum got caught in no man's land. Al was a massive overhelp on a Drew covering Brunson. There was at least 4 that they probably shouldn't have given up. And if that's 2, then we're middle of the pack as opposed to 20th in the league. So yeah, Eric Weiss, can't wait to see you on the next episode. 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think it's mostly that type of stuff, other than maybe Jaylen overhelping. I don't know if we'll ever beat that out of him, but
he was much better in the Heat game.
He was definitely. Yeah. But yeah, I actually wrote about that in 3-Leaf Clovers. We'd play 16 seconds or 20 seconds of great defense, and we'd make one mistake and get punished for it. And it helps when the team you're playing is never missing open threes too. That makes it look a lot worse than it is. Teams always make mistakes defensively. Correct. That it happens. So it's going to happen. But yeah, I frankly, I'm super encouraged with the defense, with how they've played. Not worried about giving up that many threes. I don't think that's too bad of a number, especially when our 2-point defense is good. It's going to be insanely good. It's not going to be this insanely good, but our team is huge and it's full of elite defenders. So they're going to be a great 2-point defense. So I'm totally fine with that number. Celtics known for their bad habits a lot of the times. Maybe the ISO ball.
That's
some
the one.
of the dumb turnovers, perhaps, as we think back to Jaylen in the Knicks game. We're with you on the bad habits after 2.
The bad turnovers haven't, to me, been as bad when I've watched the last couple games. There's been a couple, but then I watch so much NBA over the past few days. Even like Jokic had 9 turnovers against the Grizzlies, was it? Early season, every team has a couple per game. How many did the Celtics have against the Heat turnovers? We had 15 turnovers. That's probably 2 too many. I forget that was that. The year we went to the finals, it was there was a magic turnover number. I want to say it was 13. And surprise, surprise, we went 2 over the magic number in turnovers against the Heat. Totally would like to see that number come down. The thing to me that they've still done in both games has been the ISO ball. They blew the lead against the Knicks game because they went 5 possessions in a row. ISO ball, and it was everybody. It was Jaylen, it was Derrick, it was Jason. They completely went away from the Porzingis actions, and it happened in the first quarter against the Heat where they were attacking the Heat's best defenders. When we're if you're going to go ISO ball, ISO Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and get Tatum posted up on Jaime Jaquez. And once they kind of got away from that, it just opened up. So old habits die hard, and I think it's going to pop up as time, over and over again, but hopefully we see it less and less and less.
And it seems like they're conscious of it, finally, for once. It seems like they understand they're falling into the bad habits and are making a point to get out of it. And I thought in the Knicks game, Joe took a timeout, and then we came out of that timeout and we started running the offense again.
Yep.
And it's oh my God, this is everything we've asked for. Yeah. So again, 2 games, who knows? Old habits die hard. If anything has taught me that, it's this iteration of the Celtics over the past 5 years, because they are the poster child for that mantra. All right. We're going to run over an hour. What's new, Jake? But so I think there's sort of 2 offensive philosophies kind of butting heads a little bit here. And we're seeing it as there's Joe wants to play motion, pace. Eric Weiss always drops in the chat. The Jays are so bad at getting into actions with speed. They don't come off screens hard. They don't take handoffs at full speed. And then you look at Murray and Jokic, and Murray's flying by him and getting a pitch back, and he's downhill. Boom. And I think Joe wants to play that way, and that Damian Lillard line that Ty Coffee just threw in the chat, 1 of 10 from 3 and a -28, is absolutely beautiful. But then there is you can play offense more intentionally, where it's post Tatum up, have him draw a double, kick it out. So what are your thoughts on sort of how we're playing offense?
I guess I would say motion, pace, offense. I mean, Eric Weiss in the chat saying no DHO. Why don't we do more DHOs? It's crazy.
KP would be so filthy. He is
good,
filthy
dude.
at it.
With especially with Jaylen flying off these screens with defenders behind. Everyone. Tatum, maybe his body isn't built for to come off super fast off DHOs coming downhill. I think he's just a little long for that. But Derek, Drew, and Jaylen, DHOs with it drove us crazy with Rob to not do it. We're not doing it with Porzingis. It should be a thing with Al as well. Amazing screen setter. Regardless, the motion pace offense I think should be the offense for 3.5 quarters. And when you get down to crunch time, you want it to be because you just can't turn the ball over. And I think that this team that's when those things are going to happen. And then you go to Tatum in the post and the more purposeful Porzingis Tatum actions, and for example, when we were playing the Heat and we were struggling, and then Tatum was basically went to the post like 3 times, it felt like, right on Jaime Jaquez. Like when things aren't working, when things feel disjointed, I feel very comfortable with putting Tatum in the post on a variety of defenders, and he can just make a play that you're going to get something that you feel okay with. Like it's not going to be a turnover. He might get fouled. He might get a bucket, or someone helps and he finds someone as a shooter. So it's a bit of a cop-out answer, and the answer is both. But I think broadly on a possession-to-possession basis, I like the everybody eats philosophy. But then like when things break down, when it gets to crunch time, I want the ball in Tatum's hands, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a mix too. Like it depends on matchups too. Like with the Heat do a really good job of like switching off ball and kind of grinding motion like to death with their defense. So you have to be a little slower. You have to be a little more intentional. And yeah, like Tatum posted up Jaquez like 10 times in the first half. Like that was clearly part of the game plan. And it started working. So, yeah, I think you got to find a balance. You got to find that mix. And definitely in crunch time, that's just how they're going to play. Like, no, but not even the Golden State Warriors run Curry high pick and roll in crunch time, you know? So, all right, I forgot to run the ad read earlier because I'm a terrible host. We need you back, Ben. So a word from our sponsor.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, Jake, I've got one if you don't.
Yeah, no, you go. We can go one each.
Okay, this team, I think they have not even been playing that well. They're 2-0, beat 2 really good teams, one on the road, one at home. Home away doesn't matter for the Heat. I almost think they're more dangerous in the Garden, frankly.
Yes.
So, Joe Mazzulla, I got him on FanDuel a couple days ago, plus 1,200 for Coach of the Year. Like, no matter what you think of Joe, if we win 60 games, he's winning Coach of the Year. So I love that bet. I love futures too. I just think they're fun to kind of track throughout the season. So go ahead, maybe put that in responsibly. Although I'm also terrible better, so maybe don't go put that. Go bet somebody else responsibly for Coach of the Year. But that's just a quick one I got. But real quick, before we talk very briefly about the Wizards, Daniel Portillo in the chat. Question for y'all: after the tiny 2-game sample size, what will be the team's identity this year? Jake, do you have any thoughts?
My first reaction to that is just talent. Like the identity is like, wow, we have so many players that are really good, but that's it's not really an identity. I think yes. Who said it in the chat? Like versatility and pace. I think the ability to play different ways. Yeah, it's a good question because I'm not sure. I don't feel like I have a good read on like what's going to be like the thing that everybody's like, you can't take this or you can't stop this aspect of the Celtics. I do think they're going to just be a really well balanced team. I would love for it to be versatility and pace. Let's go with that. Philip Hart in the chat.
Yeah. So when we traded for Drew, we did a pod and we're talking about how he's way more versatile offensively than Marcus Smart is, and is just as versatile defensively as Smart. So it just like keeps all the crazy defensive versatility and then opens up your offense to be able to do a lot of different things. Like he had a couple plays where like he's in the post, he's just driving on people, and that is our fourth option. You know what I mean? And really maybe fifth with the way Derrick White played against the Heat, you know? So I think versatility is an absolutely great one because it's going to be less like, what can't you take away from these guys? It's going to be like, well, if you take something away, they can just do something different just as well. So I love that. I think that's a spot on one. It's like our identity is we have no identity. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you want the Celtics identity to be? It's like humility, toughness, respect, belief, just words, really.
Talent, baby.
Yeah, talent. It's like, okay, yeah, that is, well, Joe, that wasn't really an answer. So we'll just go with what Joe said. Just being great humans, mindset. mindset, I believe. That's really been the word that he's thrown around. And honestly, like, and Eric Weiss being in the chat has kind of reminded me of this. Like, how many times have we watched the Celtics, like the Wizards tomorrow, right? I think we're going to get our first test of maybe this mindset. How many times do they play down to competition? The Hawks series should not have gone to 6. The Sixers series should not have gone to 7. The year previous, the Heat going to 7, the Bucks going to 7. The mindset every single night to not just play hard, because I think that sometimes when the Celtics weren't winning, people were like, why did they not play hard tonight? Where's the energy? And it was like misplaced energy. It's like the commitment to executing this versatility, to like find the correct mismatches, to execute the game plan for the whole game, where if it doesn't work in the first 5 to 7 minutes, do you go away from it? Are you committed to every single night to what you know is going to work? If you commit to it, you keep moving, you keep cutting, you keep pushing the pace, where if it doesn't work for a half, do you just like not bother in the second half? Or do you come out and still commit to those philosophies and those values and get it done? Because that would be a big change to years previous, where they have these lapses, not just in the regular season, but also in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it felt like at times, like if they weren't making their threes, everything else fell apart too. Yeah. And look, the Knicks game, they did not shoot threes very well, and they kept it up, man. They still played super hard on both ends, and they got it done. So I think that's a really good sign for what we're talking about. But okay, since we're popping an hour and 6 minutes already, let's tackle the Wizards real quick. 18th ranked offense, 27th ranked defense. Maybe the weirdest constructed NBA team, as short of like hinky Sixers style, like just not even a team. They're a spreadsheet. Jordan Poole. I think they still have Monte Morris.
No, he's on the Pistons now.
He's on the Pistons. I'm sorry. So no, they have the kid from Memphis. They have
Tyus Jones now.
Tyus Jones. I almost called him Trey, but I know he's the Spurs one.
Yeah.
So Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford, just like a bizarre collection. Denny Avdia, weird collection of talent that doesn't really make any sense together. But they have a win. Like, some of those dudes can get hot, man. Like, Jordan Poole could go for 40 in a night, like, if he's feeling it.
Don't we know that?
Yeah. He takes enough bad shots that I'm not sure it's going to really happen. But so what are you looking for in the Wizards game?
The good news is it's another Porzingis revenge game. So don't forget that. So we have that element, and it's in Washington, right? So he was fantastic in the Knicks game, revenge game. I don't expect the Wizards fans to pull out a fuck Porzingis chant. That's not really a Washington Wizards thing. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if it's like 50% Celtics fans at the Wizards game. So we might get the opposite. Might get an MVP chant for Tatum or Porzingis. Yeah, so the Wizards, though, they beat the Grizzlies, who might not be as good as I thought they were going to be, even with those injuries and suspensions. Kispert went 5 for 10 from 3. Look, the NBA is really talented now. The NBA is just talented, and you have to beat teams, especially early in the season, where teams still think they have a chance. Teams try really hard at the beginning of the season, towards the end when they're like fighting for playoff seeding or playoff positioning, and in the playoffs. Right now, you're going to get teams' best shot, especially the Celtics. People know that people are paying attention to the Celtics. You're going to get teams' best shot. But yeah, let's just go. If we go out and play defense like we played against the Heat, we'll win the game by 20.
Yeah, exactly. If we play the way we just played those two games, we will dominate the Wizards. But yeah, I went to 2 seasons ago. I went to the Wizards game where Tatum dropped 50 in Washington. I was in the building, and yeah, it was probably 60% Celtics games, and there were Tatum MVP chants. So this is essentially kind of half a home game. I feel bad for the Wizards fan, the Wizards faithful, but. And look, they beat us last year.
I was going to say.
I think KP also had like 35 in both games too. So good thing he's on our team now. But I think you nailed it, Jake. Like, just go out there, play your game, play like you know you can play, and this should be a pretty comfortable win. And we will see what type of Celtics team we are dealing with how they handle this Wizards team, because they can be beaten, but if Poole gets hot early and then the shoulders start slumping, man, I'm gonna have some bad thoughts, man.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah, look, I'm perfectly I'm prepared mentally for the Wizards to make it a game and for me to be upset. But look, the Celtics have proven us wrong so far. I did the emotional hedge against the Heat. It was like 19-1 with like 5 minutes to go in the clutch, and they held strong in both the Knicks and the Heat game. So we'll see.
And the Heat hit some of those back-breaking threes where I was
really
like,
did.
They hit one with like 35 seconds left to make it a 3-point game, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're gonna lose
again."
But then, we came back down and scored, and it was over. So great signs early. Again, we've said it a million times. It's only 2 games, but it's all we got. It's all
and
we
how
got. So,
freaking good! How good? 2-0. Let's go.
2-0, baby. That's all you can ask. So, all right, Jake. Let's call it a night there. Enjoyed it as always, my man. Love your work. First to the floor out.
I love